Welcome to Catapult Leaders Conversation with Leaders. Listen in and take notes as Catapult Leaders CEO Daryl Mobley chats with Quinton Martin about the power of asking questions. Quinton Martin is Chief of Staff, Office of the President and Vice President of Community Marketing for Coca-Cola North America.
I am really excited today to have the opportunity to talk about questions and really the power of questions with Quinton Martin. Quinton and I have known each other for a long time, and I don't know if I know anyone who has probably spent more times with more people, in more meetings, in more different environs than Quinton. And I think that one of the things you have to learn when you're in those environments, if you want to succeed and really make progress, you have to be, among other things, really good at asking the right questions. So that's what we're going to talk about today, the power of questions. Quinton, are you ready?
Yes, Daryl. Good to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for giving me your time. I know you're always busy, but I can always count on you to give time. Here we go. Question number one. When I say the power of questions to you as regards to career and business, what comes to mind?
Well, there are a couple of things that immediately come to mind when I hear you talk about the power of questions. One of the things that in our business we talk about being one of the building blocks of a good career or a good person is someone who's curious. Curiosity is one of our things that we look as a trait for people, and how we understand whether you're curious or not is about what questions do you ask, and how are the questions framed? How do they help explore and take you to new areas that you may not know a whole lot about? And the other part of it, I had a person that I worked for, a guy that would be a mentor and I respect a lot, said that I tell how smart a person is by the questions they asked. And so the thing that people get wrapped up in is that, maybe this old mantra from school that you don't want to ask questions because you're going to appear stupid or less smart. In business, asking questions is how you get things done, is how you understand what is going on. How do you understand what the other person is thinking about that? How do you press the envelope of the whatever problem you're trying to solve is by asking questions. And so I think it's a fundamental building block for building a career, that curiosity and making sure that you go and you ask questions. And I really also believe that there isn't a really stupid question. Now you can go overboard with crazy questions and they take you in close to the realm of stupid. But it is, if you're focused on something and you're curious about it and you want to know, ask the question. That's how people know that you are truly engaged in the business.
Wow. Fantastic. So the smartest people ask the best questions. I love that. And that's a good incentive for me to try to ask better questions. Here's one of them. What benefits in your mind come from asking questions in the day-to-day flow of business? Like you, again, I don't know of anyone based on their career path who sat in more meetings on the phone, digitally, virtually, or in person with more different people than you. So this is a great, what benefits do you think come from asking questions day in and day out?
Well, I think the other part of what we talk about is, the idea of being a learner for life. And by asking questions, you continue to learn, and it helps prevent you from going into situations thinking that you know all of the answers. And because the reality is you don't. And the other part of it in this day-to-day flow is it shows people that you care not only about the work, but about them. And so by asking really good questions, not gotcha questions. Those are very negative, but it is about, I don't understand. Help me understand this. How would I do that? How, those things really help create a bond between you and other people. If they feel that your questions are more about understanding, helping, as opposed to trying to demonstrate that you have a better answer than they do, or to try to do got yous. So that's the piece. This is part of that collaboration process that we all try to build, and how do we build teams. And a lot of that is done by asking questions, as opposed to standing up and giving your own speeches and your own ideas. Make sure you understand where everyone else has come from, what ideas and how they arrived at those ideas, and then using their responses to help create your own foundation. So that would be how I'd see the benefit on a day-to-day basis of questions.
I love it, love it, love it. I mean, I'm learning a lot from this. This is great. Question number 3. I know you've seen ton of your time in the corporate world, different companies. I know you've seen many, many, many entry level or right at that level folks come in and get started on their careers, and with a dream and a hope to move to new heights and really achieve the kind of success you have, quite frankly. So I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot. What tips do you have for ways that a new entry-level employee, somebody who's new and fresh, walks in the doors? What tips do you have for ways they can be sure and ask quality questions?
Well, I think it goes back to the period in time when you and I first met eons ago. Is you've got to do your homework. You've got to do it every day. And so just because you're new, the new person on the block, doesn't say that you should come in completely devoid of any knowledge or background. So do your research, understand the foundation of the business that you're entering. And so that allows you to set the parameters of what type of questions that you want to have. I mean, just to walk in and say, hey, I've got a question. I don't understand anything. Could somebody tell me? That's not the way to get started. I've looked at this part of the business. I know that we build widgets and we sell them to these types of companies. How do we do that? What's the process? Understand that those are the type of questions as you come in that shows that you know the business and you care and you want to grow. So, I mean, and that goes back to my earlier comment about the types of questions to find how people will tell how smart or not sure. But you've got to build that base around what questions you ask, and make sure that those questions are relevant to the business that you're in. I think there's a time and place for general curiosity, why is the sky blue, type of questions, which might be relevant if you're in a business that is more philosophical. But if you're in a consumer goods company, or you're in IT or things like that, make sure you understand the foundation first, and then build your questions from that. Do your homework.
Do your homework. Wow. So you're making me sweat thinking I got to do more homework with you. My goodness. You should have told me that way back when, but that's okay. That's okay. Here we are. But no, thank you so much for that one. Here's my final question to you, although I reserve the right to get so interested, I follow up. I want to flip it a little bit. So we're talking about asking questions, and which is vitally important to projecting intelligence, projecting engagement, making the enterprise move forward. So I'm there with all that. Can you give tips regarding the best ways to be an effective listener?
Yes. That I think that 2 ears, one mouth thing still is a good analogy, that you should listen twice as much as you speak. And the key to listening, and you can find this in any leadership manual, is listen to understand, as opposed to, as people talk or start their question, don't start formulating your answer before they finish the question. Take the time, listen, probe, even ask them additional questions about it so that you understand exactly what people want, and then come up with a response as opposed to immediately responding even before. Because one of the other pieces about whether it is asking your own questions or listening to other people is they want to know that you are taking the time to truly understand what they're trying to say. The worst thing that you can do from a building or creating a bond with people is to prove to them that you're not listening to them, that you already have an answer. As part of that growth and fixed mindset piece, that if you have a fixed mindset, you're immediately flipping back to a response that you've hardwired in, and not really trying to understand what the person is saying if there are different nuances that may not fit close to what you've known historically. So that's it. Listen, make sure you understand what people want before you respond.
I must tell you, as you were talking about listening and the people who listen formulating their response while you're talking or few things are more annoying than the person who you barely finished your question. You barely finished asking the question or bringing up a point, then they've got the rebuttal. You know what I'm saying? They're already telling you you're wrong, and you realize they never gave it a chance to listen to what you were saying. And listening is not just I heard it, now let me fire back, but to listen and process what they heard and see how it could fit or might fit into whatever it is that you're dealing with at that moment. But you're right. I was thinking about all the people I knew and some of the really poor coworkers, even occasionally bosses, who never mastered listening. I think listening is almost like effective listening is almost like a superpower, because if you listen and you take notes, and I'm taking notes now when you talk. So if you listen and you take notes, you're making yourself more capable, frankly, more capable, more effective, more efficient. You're able to share your information. But also, one thing you're doing is whenever someone's speaking, this is my opinion, right? And let me know what you think about this. Whenever someone's speaking, you're sharing their information. If they know that you are writing notes, you're listening so well that you're writing notes about what they're saying, they appreciate you. Right? Now we're on the same team. Now we're working because you're not listening to me talking. You're actually taking down what I'm saying. It's so important that you actually putting out additional effort to process. I think that's for me, I found that to be a powerful tool to engage with people when they know that I really care about what they're saying, that I'm trying to listen and listen as best I can. Have you ever seen a deal or an opportunity go bye-bye because one side or the other simply was not listening to the other side's presentation?
Yes. 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 I mean, this is, as they say, a deal or speak, but there was a piece where you go in and you have your own mental block. And there's a time from our corporate standpoint, there is a set of circumstances that were happening. Mm-hmm. And we knew that there's no way that that's the case. And so we were so stuck in our own sense of self-righteousness, we never truly listened to what the people were trying to tell us. And it, from a business standpoint, it cost us dearly. A lot of money was lost because of that. And as that happened, we finally went back and said, well, it was about their reality and how they perceive these things and how this was going on in their minds. And once we finally started listening to them, we went back and looked at the process that got us there and said, oh, this is what caused that. Mm-hmm. And if the leaders that we had working on that project at the time had stopped and truly got out of their own odds are and started looking and listening to what the people had said, it would have saved us, millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing, man. So do you have anything else that you think you might want to share with these undergrads, grad students, recent grads who want to get off to the best start possible, want to do well in corporate America, want to follow in your footsteps? You have anything else you'd like to add?
I think the only thing I would say is just to have a dream, pursue it, and be willing to step out on a ledge to make it happen, or as to say, go out on the skinny branches. And a part of that is being curious about the world that you don't know. And the only way you will get to know that world is to ask questions and be willing to accept the answers that you get and use them as a building block, as opposed to something that you think people are trying to hurt you.
You pulled the old, what is it, Perry Mason or Columbo thing at the very end when you came back with that comma, except they think that people are just trying to hurt you. Being able to listen with an open ear, open mind, open heart, clear eyes, all that kind of stuff is a real talent and a real advantage. Well, man, thank you so much, Quinton, for what you've shared today. The information is powerful, extremely useful, and I can assure you that most people do not know what you shared, but I know those who are listening are going to get a lot out of it. So thanks a lot for your time. I wish you the best. We'll talk around the way.
All right, Daryl. Take care.
You've listened to Catapult Leaders Conversation with Leaders. Special thanks to Quinton Martin.
Be sure and go to catapultleaders.com so that you can apply to the Catapult Leaders program if you are a college student or grad student or a recent graduate. If you are a company leader looking to up-level your company by hiring outstanding new employees, please go to catapultleaders.com and contact us. Let's go.